I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya. The verdict is in for a Palm Coast man charged in a fight at a popular hangout, John Arking reports.
A P-section resident was found not guilty of felony child abuse by a jury after he was charged with punching a 16-year-old girl outside of Epic Theaters in Palm Coast in October of 2016. However, the jury did find 39-year-old C.J. Nelson guilty on 2 misdemeanor counts of battery. The incident in question, which was caught on a cell phone video, was the result of a schoolhouse argument involving Nelson's child that continued onto the plaza in front of the movie theater. An attempt by Nelson to use a stand-your-ground defense in the case was previously denied by Circuit Court Judge Dennis Craig. Had he been found guilty on the felony charge, Nelson could have faced 5 years in prison, but he may still face time in the county jail when he is sentenced April 24th. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
This portion of WNZF Local News, a service of the Daytona Beach International Airport. Fly to the Big Apple in a New York minute on JetBlue from the Daytona Beach International Airport.
I'm not opposed to RV parks.
But Flagler County Commissioner still nixed a plan for an RV park on an undeveloped piece of property near Graham Swamp Trailhead. The park was slated to go on a 5.5-acre property along Colbert Lane north of Lakeview Drive. Property owner Richard Gurrell pitched it as an upscale RV park so he could supplement his income as he transitions into retirement. To get it, though, he'd need a zoning change to a favorable PUD designation. County Commission Chairman Nate McLaughlin.
You give a great presentation, and I would have done the same thing in your shoes of showing this strip of woods and trees and a big shopping center. But I don't know, looking back over what was discussed at the time, nobody ever envisioned that. I think this was a low-impact commercial, maybe a quickie stop or something like that to service the neighborhood.
100 area residents were against the plan, saying it could bring crime and add traffic to their neighborhoods. McLaughlin voted no for one big reason.
My biggest concern was the statement about I'm not a big fan of putting in more septic, especially in an urban. To call this creative urban design, that stretches for me. I am opposed to septic when there's sewer and water available. We're trying to move away from that.
Commissioner Donald O'Brien agreed that septic has a place only in rural or agricultural areas. A Bunnell man is heading to federal prison for less than a decade. A judge sentenced 38-year-old Travis Johnson to nearly 9 years behind bars on charges of selling drugs and guns in Flagler County. Prosecutors say Johnson sold crack cocaine and guns to a confidential informant on 3 separate occasions over the summer. When police raided Johnson's home in August, they say they found a pair of stolen guns and other weapons. He pleaded guilty in November to a lesser charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and 2 counts of cocaine distribution. Johnson had already done 10 years' time on an attempted murder charge for shooting a DeLand man twice. He also had previous convictions for drug possession, shooting a vehicle, and battery on a law enforcement officer. He was nabbed in Operation Heatseeker last year, a multi-agency campaign that targeted illegal guns and arms dealers. A fight Monday between 2 teenagers takes an odd turn. Rich Petchke has the story.
Police say they were called to the Indian Trail Sports Complex in Palm Coast on a disturbance report, and they found that not only were the 2 14-year-olds fighting, but the father of one of the boys had instigated the fight and ended up becoming a participant when he pushed the boy off his son and then started beating up the other boy. The father, identified as Anthony Gardner, may now be facing battery and disorderly conduct charges, depending on if the state attorney's office decides to prosecute him. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Rich Petchke.
And now you're up to date. On Flagler's Morning News, I'm Amy Cherry.